So now that we've taken a look at what a placeholder is, how it works, so by replacing the actual placeholder with its result in your shape text or in your shape data, we will take a look at a more advanced use case in which we can use several placeholders to make a really dynamic and nice looking drawing. In this case, we will take a look at a master details view, which I've already created on our system for us. So if we take a look on our Visio training view from earlier, we can go to the master detail page right here. And if I open up the Visio, you will be able to see what I have configured there. So what can you immediately see? We can see that we have a list of objects on one side. And on the right side, we have details on whatever we have selected on the left side. So how does it work in Visio? Well, on the left side in our drawing, we will have a list of elements. So we will list children elements of our current view. That is by default the case. And we also define an option. So this is the important part here because this is the variable or the placeholder that we will be using later on. So we will set a variable upon selection of a shape, and we will name the variable selected shape. If I open up this group shape, we will find actually only one shape in there, namely a template for our list of shapes. So that means we will have a type element for the children. We will give it a margin so there's a little bit of room between the shapes, so this means it will leave 1/20th of the shape's height as a room between each shape. It of course has to link to the element for which it has been listed, and we want to make it selectable so our selection variable actually works. So that's our master view, as we call it. And then on the right, we defined a details view. And this is where the placeholders come in. If I select this group shape again, we will find element shape data in there. Within there, the placeholder variable : selected shape. So that means that this part will be replaced by what the variable selected shape holds. And what does it hold? Well, if you click any of the shapes in this list, it will set the variable selected shape to the content of that shape, so the text in there. In this case, we used another placeholder, the name placeholder, to display the name of the element that has been listed. So what will happen is, whenever I click one of these shapes, the details will link to an element with that name. So that's again our group shape data, and then I can open up this group and I find a lot more details. So in there we can link every single element with an asterisk to the parent shape, namely the one that has been linked to the variable selected shape. We can display, for instance, the name again with an asterisk. So if we use the info shape data, we can put the placeholder actually in here, and then the asterisk will be replaced. We can show the protocol, we will show the description, the ID of the element, and so on. So, as you can see as well, it's important to note that you can enter some shape text and then put the asterisk, or you can put some shape text behind it, and only the asterisk will of course be replaced by the placeholder you defined in your info shape data. The last field we have right here is a special one, namely the property class. So this is again a placeholder in the shape text itself, and an important thing I want to note here is that normally when you have a placeholder like a property placeholder or a this placeholder, it will link by default to the context of the card. So we've seen that earlier as well. If I enter this card object ID or this element, it will link to the card context. That even goes for a child shape, as we have in this case. that links to a parent element, for instance. So if I go back to my Visio here, you can see that actually this property placeholder, it will not link to the property class of the element that we have linked to in the parent shape. No, it will link to the property class of the view. However, we can override this behavior by adding an option called force property from shape, and that will then make these placeholders, this placeholder, the property placeholder, link to the shape context, which is the asterisk element being my variable that I have selected. So that is more or less what the Visio looks like, and then the result in Cube will look something like this, where on the left we have a list of all of our elements, and if I click one, it will select that element and it will take this shape text and it will make my details panel link to that. So in this case, I have my alarm color at the top. You can see the name of the element I just selected, a description, some extra information, and then also, as I said, not the property of the Visio training view, which is bronze, but rather the property class of the IRD01, which is gold. So that is an example of our master details view. This is just one example. You can of course go a lot further with it. Other things you can list, for instance, in a master panel are alarms, or you can link them to a table so that you can list the different rows in a table, or to cells or something like that.